Hello and welcome to this episode of Make It Happen. I am so thrilled that you're here. Today we have an awesome Pick My Brain question, and we're diving deep on lead generation strategy with Amy Walker. Stay tuned to the very end because I'm also going to share with you my 3 favorite things right now. Welcome to Make It Happen. I'm so excited for today's segment of Pick My Brain. This question comes in from Allie White from Pocatello, Idaho. I hope she doesn't mind me outing her full name, but in case you did not know, they have a zoo and there's a crow there. So if you ever pass yourself through Pocatello, go see the crow. Okay, she says, what tips do you have for anyone just starting a new chapter of their business? I love all kinds of business conversations, and today's episode is going to be really effective for you as we talk about leads, but I want to share with you a couple of things about starting new chapters of your business just to help you stay on the right track. Especially if you're someone who has started a business before, the day and age that we live in, there are just a few quick little things that I want you to consider if this is a new chapter. First and foremost, if you're letting go of some things in your business in the past, it's okay to have all the feelings about that. And it's okay for you to process some things that you might be letting go of. All of my businesses feel just as invested in as my children, and I have found transitions in my life where I have let go of businesses and a little bit of mourning and grief that has come along with letting them go, especially since I have invested so much in them and it feels right to let them go, but also hard at the same time. Beware of the feelings, know that they are coming, and honor them and allow them to fit. If you need to sit, and one of my favorite ideas for people who are transitioning into different chapters is to write down 20 things that you learned from a business you're letting go of, or from a portion of your business you're letting go of. Allow yourself to move forward into the new chapter, knowing that you are set up to succeed because you learned critical things that are helping you to take the next chapter on, whether that's more seriously or more maybe even lighthearted because you took your last chapter too seriously, but know that you're set up to succeed because of things you've learned. As someone who's been in business for the last 20 years, I have started, grown, and killed about 20 different businesses in my lifetime. I have 3 running today because sometimes what happened and what I loved and enjoyed many years ago doesn't serve me now, and that's okay. Allow yourself to evolve and your business to evolve as well. Especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, you've probably changed your mind, and that's okay. The next piece of advice that I would give you as you're starting a new chapter is to treat it just as importantly as a previous chapter in your business. Sit down and take some time to write out even a mini business plan. I love a sticky note business plan where you just write down all the details, everything from who your target market is, your avatar, what you're selling, what your different products and solutions are, how you're going to get out into the world. Make sure you're setting yourself up to succeed. Now, I'm not saying it has to be a 50-page document, single-spaced, but give yourself some permission to really go through details so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into and that you can really be ready to hit the ground running and make it happen. Different chapters bring in both the excitement and a little bit of extra emotion. So as you do, navigate kindly. And if you need to drink an extra soda or have an extra chat with a friend, do that as well. Business is personal. And so as you make different changes, know that it's okay to have all those personal feelings that are coming along with it. I'm cheering you on, and I'm excited for whatever you're bringing into your business. And we cheer you on, Allie. We also cheer on anyone else who's watching who may benefit from this. Now, if you have questions that you'd like to send in because you'd like to pick my brain, send them to Michelle at speakmichelle.com. Put pick your brain in the subject line, and we will have future questions right here on the show. I'm also excited to partner with some amazing brands that are helping to make this show possible. But today's show is being brought to you by the Marketing Blueprint Workshop. Every year, I put together an event in the fall that helps business owners create their marketing plan. We spend some time talking about marketing trends and the things that have shifted in the market, but then we also dive deep into creating your plan for the new year. Everything from deciding your messages, the mediums that you're going to use, the budget that's important, and all about social media and media to put together a cohesive approach to your marketing. You're welcome to join us at any time of year. So if you're listening to this in May, we have recordings available for you. But if you'd like to join us live, go to marketingblueprintworkshop.com. You'll see tickets available and all of the details that you need. We hope that you can join us. It's one of my favorite things that I do each year. Now I'm excited to introduce you to one of my very dear friends and business strategist extraordinaire, Amy Walker. when I knew I wanted to do a show with her and we started chatting about all of the different things that we could talk about, I started to think about all the ways and reasons and length of time that I have known Amy. I have known her for over a decade and watched her grow a business into $1 million company, and it has been so fun to watch. What I love the most about Amy, and I'll let her share anything else she wants to share after this, but it's my show, so I get to say whatever I want. And my favorite parts about Amy is that she is a rock star at business, but also honors all of her roles. And online and off, she is this same person, honoring her role as a business owner, a mother, a wife, a friend, and a devout member of her faith. And so I love all aspects of you and that you bring them all in. Welcome to Make It Happen.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
That was like super nice introduction.
Well, I'm not really good at formal ones, so that's what you get.
It was sincere. I love it.
Yeah, I love
Thanks
it
for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. We've had you on the show before. We've talked about a handful of different things. I love it when you're in town because now you live in a town in Georgia. I don't even remember what it's called.
Commerce.
Okay, because when I visited you, it was different.
It was Pendergrass.
I was going to say Pendergrass. I'm like, oh no, it's a different town all the way. And she struggles getting internet. And I am so grateful for places that have real internet because of my experience there. But I also love that you did that. And this is a little bit off course, but I think also important. You make decisions, and the way you make decisions inspire me. You do a lot connection with God, and you do a lot about, hey, what kind of life I want to build, and you're unapologetic about that. So I'd like you to tell me over the last, let's say 12 to 18 months, hypothetically speaking, of course, as you have looked at your life and business, what are some changes that you have made because the market's changed or the world's been different or because you just wanted something different in your business?
Because legit, the whole world changed.
I mean, hypothetically speaking, of course, right?
Yeah, hypothetically speaking, 18 months ago in 1 week, I lost my biggest client, which was like a $100K deal. And all my kids came home and I became a homeschool mom and like is so much, and I have 5 boys, you know, like it's a lot of stuff. So I feel like this last 18 months has really been a time where all of us get to say, I'm not in control. And what do I want to do with my life? Like you get both because we are not in control. And some of the plans that we had before, you've talked about this, like you had to let them go and grieved them a little bit. I did that as well. So some of the things that I have changed, I really looked at what was I doing that was inefficient and not producing and just was like, well, let's stop doing those things. I also rewrote my core values in this last year. And one of my new core values is the simplest answer is the best answer. Ooh. And I'm loving that. So every time because you know, I like to come up with plans and big ones. Yeah. And then I like to strategize them out. And I'll be doing that. And I'm like, this is feeling really complicated. Okay, well, that's what I want. How can I get there? The simplest answer is the best answer. The other thing, though, that this is just fun, it's not really business yet, is I started writing fiction and I published my first fiction book.
I'm so proud of
you. I want that to perform and I want that to be profitable. But even if the only people that ever read it are the 40 people who bought the book this week, that would be enough for me and I could die a happy woman. Like it's been so fun, so amazing.
No, I think that's great. I mean, we've talked about this on previous episodes, but I'm a huge fan of you have to do things that make you happy, even if they make no sense.
Right.
And so if it makes you happy and it gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning and something that you're doing to grow personally and professionally, I say, great, we need to do more things, even if they don't make sense.
Well, all my writing days are like my happiest creative days. And so that was something that I felt that I was stagnant with creativity. And when I started writing consistently, it was like I got new creative ideas in new areas. And I started seeing my life and my business differently because once you find the thing that you love more than anything else, it's literally all you want to do. Mm-hmm. And so everything that I'm doing, I'm like, could that get me more writing time or does that take away from my writing time? And so it's really helped me to streamline what I'm working on in my business and figuring out, again, the simplest ways to get the results that I want to get so that I can spend time doing the things that I love to do, which is not just writing, but if you ask my kids, they would say it's just writing. So
no, I think that's so great. And I love the simplest answer is the best answer because I think we need new soundtracks that are happening in our brain that get us in this new world, right? The things that used to work 18 months ago are not working for me in the same way. And so while I've always been a big make it happen girl, one of the things that I'm focusing on is what's the next right thing? Because I'm good at lots of big dreams and lots of big plans, but right now I can only do what is the next thing, what is happening after that, and not getting caught in all those things. So one of my next right things is lead generation. And I know that you're a rock star at that. So I want you to share with the audience, how are you looking at lead generation now, different than you looked at it before? Also because we're in a different world. Right. And what are some strategies that you recommend today to help people rock lead generation?
So this is a superpower that I discovered during the pandemic that I'm like, oh, I'm like really good at this. Most people don't do this like I do this.
She was good at this pre-pandemic. I don't know what she's talking about right
but
now.
I didn't realize that like it's kind of a superpower, you know, like I just thought, oh, everybody can get 200 to 500 free leads a month, you know, no big deal. And then when I started seeing everyone freaking out about it, I was like, oh, they can't. They don't know how to do that.
No,
so
it is a superpower.
It is a superpower. So when it comes to, you know, it's really interesting. When it comes to your online lead generation, it's not actually that different in terms of what works and what doesn't. It's just more competitive. So like, for example, it's easier to get an online registration now for an online event than it's ever been before, but it's harder to get them to show up and stay plugged in than it's ever been before. So when I look at, you know, our main things that we kind of do over and over and over again, online conferences is definitely one, and those have been hot this last year for registrations. But again, attendance is down because they're registering for like 5 conferences the same day as yours, and then they're jumping back and forth, and then they're like, oh, I'm bored of being on Zoom, and I'll just catch the replay, and then they don't watch the replay. So you have to understand what you're getting with it, but there's still a way to make it perform and produce. So online conferences are one. Honestly, old school relationship building, but just doing it virtually is really powerful right now. So we're getting a lot of connections through doing things that don't scale. So things like when someone schedules, or here's a great example, when somebody joins our Facebook group, I send them a message that's a video message. It's like, hey, I just saw you join the Facebook group and I'm so excited. What are you hoping to accomplish here? Let's talk. And then we start a conversation, and then I actually take time to converse with them, which I feel like before the pandemic, it was all about scalability and mass. And now it's like, no, we just want to actually connect with people and have relationships with people. So little simple things like that have been working really well. Speaking to groups online is working well. I mean, there's not that much stuff that isn't working, that it just hasn't changed all that much. It's like little details within it. But YouTube is working really well. I think that's a great place to be.
But so let's talk about YouTube, because everyone says, oh yeah, I have a YouTube channel, but they're not necessarily getting leads from it. So what are you doing strategically to transition a view into a lead?
Yeah, so let's be clear that YouTube is the high maintenance girlfriend of the social media world. She has her own demands. She has expectations. And if you do not follow her rules, she will not perform for you. So YouTube is a beast all in itself, right? So the number one thing with YouTube is don't dabble in it. It's a total waste of time. Either you're doing it and you're playing by her rules, or spend your time on a platform like Clubhouse or TikTok or something that is going to be less demanding and give you more visibility. The thing that's great about YouTube is your content lasts forever. So I get leads from videos I made 3 years ago that were bad videos, but good content, right? Like, and it is amazing to me because when I put something up on Facebook or on LinkedIn or the other platforms I use, nobody reaches out to me 3 years later. It's like, I watched your video and I want to hire you. Like, it does not happen. So the first thing is with YouTube, understand the algorithm. You need to answer questions that people are searching for. There needs to be search volume behind the content you're creating. The second thing is you have to have keywords. And when you get the right keywords in place, that's going to drive the traffic. The third thing, and third and fourth, are you need to have a good click-through rate on your thumbnail. So you got to watch that. And then your percentage of watch duration. Like if your percentage is 45% or higher, then YouTube will show your content to more people. If you've used search and you've put in those search terms, then people will find your content over and over again. So here's the thing that's cool and not cool all at the same time, because oh my gosh, I'm waiting for my YouTube channel to blow up. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting. But I'm still getting clients from it. So I have a small channel, but I get clients from it because I specifically answer a question that my ideal clients are searching for. And then in every video, I have something that they can opt into. And then once they opt in, what happens? Boom, they're in my sales system. And guess what, you guys? I actually follow up with my leads.
I think
Is that
that is
crazy?
such good advice, though, and something that we should all be thinking about because I know lots of people who are great at lead gen, but they're terrible at follow-up. And so it doesn't help that if you are willing to generate a bunch of leads, but you're not willing to do the follow-up, it's like if the tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, does it make it sound? Does it even matter if you have a lead if you don't follow up? Absolutely not.
It kills me. It kills me to watch people. I'm like, I have a client right now who has been lead generating for 15 years, right? Huge, massive following, super, super loyal, never built a sales team, never followed up with those leads. And so we're in the process of constructing that system and we're recruiting her salespeople and she has 185 applicants.
Oh, wow.
To be salespeople on her team. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to need to run a promo to get some of these phone numbers. And she's like, oh, I checked my list. I actually have like 3,000 phone numbers. I'm like,
got it.
Okay, cool. But like brilliant, doing so much good. And her clients love her and they love her work. And yet there's so many people that are just falling through the cracks. And so if you will focus on getting leads and then focus on following up with your leads, you'll be amazed. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay, do you have a magic algorithm of your own when you're talking to clients that says, okay, this is the mass level where you have to outsource sales calls? So, or is there somebody like who's like, I don't want to hire somebody or I don't want to do it. I'm happy to do sales calls. Is there a level at which you feel like, yeah, you can keep those with you or an assistant, but then when do you need to branch out and do other things?
Well, really from the beginning, you should hire an appointment setter. We're actually starting an appointment setter agency because so many people are like, oh, it's so hard to find appointment setters. I'm like, I know, you have to hire 4 to get one that sticks. And, you have to train them and then you're gonna have to replace them. Like, I get it. I get that it's a headache. But from the very, very beginning, that was what I did, was I hired an appointment setter to call my leads because I was like, I've got 2 babies and my kids were 0, 18 months, and kindergarten, 2nd grade, and 5th grade. So I was getting leads. I did not have time to call them. There was no way that was happening. So I hired someone to call my leads. And then all of a sudden now I'm doing 5 to 10 sales calls per week and I'm closing 2 to 3 clients per week. Guys, that's how you build a 6-figure business in a year. And then the next year I was like, well, let's just try to double that and I'll hire, a couple more setters and I'll bring on another closer, but we quadrupled sales. Because here's the thing that you don't understand is that when we, as the business owner, are doing our own sales, we're also doing customer fulfillment. We're also doing marketing. We're also creating content and developing our, core curriculum or whatever it is that we do. We're working on that. And then we're squeezing in sales. When you actually have a dedicated salesperson, all they do is sales. Like they don't have to do any of the other stuff that you have to do. So they can get a lot more accomplished. So I really don't think you should look at what's the point when you need to. I think you should look at how fast can I? Because we quadrupled sales our 2nd year in business. And I remember that allowed us to buy our dream home. We bought which is the first one, the Pendergrass house. We bought 10 acres and lived there for 4 years and then realized that we're not farmers. It was a good realization. Although I do miss my goats.
I know,
they were the best. I loved those goats. We did that dream life for a while and then we moved again, but it allowed us to be able to buy that house. And when I was moving from Utah to Georgia, my bank account had $30,000 more in it when I got there. And I had not been on the phone for 5 days because those kids were crazy and they couldn't drive for very long.
I love that. So I love this conversation because I feel like it helps us to think about things in a different way. And for people who are like, I'm a team of one, expanding your mind, because you can grow that person. It doesn't have to be hiring a full-time person or using an agency that does setters. You can grow as you grow.
Yeah,
right?
Well, people make it way harder than it is. They just do. My appointment setters are based in the Philippines. They have phenomenal English. I pay them $6 an hour plus bonuses when people close. They think it's amazing. And I'm telling you, being a business of one, you're doing it by choice. It's not like some, imperial agency of all the entrepreneurs said you can only have one person. You're running that business model by choice. So if you want to grow faster or you want to grow differently, choose a different business model. Just get leads coming in consistently. And that is the first thing, because these setters, they are like hungry hippos. We're like, can I have more leads? Do you have more leads? When do we get new leads? I'd love some more leads. And you're like, yeah, I know. I'm trying. So if you can get lead flow coming in, then you're ready for an appointment setter. And you do need to have the system in place for them, because otherwise they don't want to like build your systems for you. They literally just want to get on calls and set people up and then get bonuses when they close. So as soon as you want to have help in sales, we can talk. Like, that can happen really quickly. I had a lady one time, I met her at a conference, and she told me what she wanted, and I sat down and I kind of mapped it out with her. You know, she needed to hire an appointment setter. And then I met her at the same conference the next year. I was talking to her. I was like, oh, hey, so how's your appointment setter? She's like, oh, yeah, that's one of my goals, to be able to make enough money to do that. And I was like, but I had even mapped out a system for her where it was commission only. I'm like, what do you mean it's your goal to afford? Commission only is free work, right? Like, you only pay them when they make you money. I cannot comprehend why that doesn't make sense to people. Like, in my mind, you know, you want help, you want more sales, get some help. You want more help, figure out how to do commission only, or figure out an inexpensive way, but get that ball rolling, because it just doesn't have to be hard.
No, it doesn't. But I love that, because it's not just, because people can get excited, myself included. Oh, I'm just going to do an online conference and I'm going to get some leads. But you also need the follow-up to that, the setters, the salespeople, if you're going to do that. And to your point, you can pay them on commission, and that works together. But if you're just working on the lead business and not working on the back end piece of that, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're going to invest in getting those leads, but you're not going to be willing to follow up.
Well, and online conferences, great example, convert like crap. Like, let's just be clear. I close 6 figures from our online conferences in follow-up. Right. Not on the event. On the event, I closed like, oh, cool, we closed $1,000. It's like, this was a successful one. We closed $1,000. Because when you're doing an online conference with multiple speakers, they're listening to, it's like Costco sample day. You know, like, I just walk around and grab the samples when we could do that. I feel like we should have a moment of peace for Costco samples.
They're coming back.
Okay, so when we did that sort of thing, like, I didn't buy the stuff I sampled. I just sampled the stuff. And that's what they're doing. They're just in sample mode. They're not ready to, like, make a commitment to, you know, their taquitos.
Right.
They just want to try them and see if they like it.
Well, and I think that's a good point, because one of the things I talk about and train for marketing clients is the purchase process, right? The purchase process goes from awareness, interest, consideration, trial, and then purchase. Mm-hmm. And you can't expect a one-size-fits-all approach to, there's no one thing that does all of those pieces. So awareness can, like, a conference can fit in the awareness and interest place, but until they're in the consideration trial with a setter or somebody who's doing a sales call, they're not going to make that purchase in the same way. So it's just trusting that you're putting the right pieces in right place to move people through the purchase cycle, to get them excited and wanting to buy it, but it will probably take more than one touch.
Probably, or definitely. Definitely. Going to take more than one touch. Sure. I mean, you guys, I wish this too. Every time I make a video, someone calls like, Amy, can I pay you $20,000 to work with me? I wish that was the case too. It's just not.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you can't get a ton of business through your online organic efforts. You can, but you need to plan them in advance and understand that you won't get all of your leads through one source. You need to have multiple different lead gen sources going on. You need to plan them in advance, because it always takes more time to execute than you think it will. I'm the queen of, like, we can throw this together. 2 weeks, we can throw it together. And then I'm like, oh, we can, but it's not good or effective, and it's a waste of 2 weeks. You know? Whereas had we given it 4 or 5, it would have been amazing. So giving yourself time and space. And then I also think there is something to be said for, like, I don't cry when something flops. Right.
And I love that about you. You are so good at non-attachment, and I work on that. And whenever I'm getting sad about something, I'm like, Amy wouldn't waste any time being sad about this. She's gone. She's on to the next thing.
It doesn't mean I wouldn't be sad about it. It just means I wouldn't, like, stay sad about it, right? So I've seen people, you know, put a lot of time and energy into something, and it doesn't go the way that they want, and it, like, jades their view of what's possible. And I just look at it and I'm like, well, that sucked. That was interesting. Okay. But I'm still going to keep marketing, right? Like, I'm still going to figure out what I'm going to do next and how I'm going to change and adjust, because I know that I have to have leads coming in. If there's no leads coming in, then, like, my business is hungry or thirsty, as the kids say.
Right?
Although it means something different. I just thought that through my head.
No, but I like that because one of the quotes that I live by is don't let your small business make you small-minded. Brendan Burchard, when he said that, I was like, oh, that's such a good idea, because I think we can get caught up, and for those of you who are small business owners, you can get caught up saying, well, I'm not big enough for that. But the reality is you're big enough to do anything you want.
Yeah.
And to your point, I always say you can grow at the rate at which you are willing to bring other people in.
Yep.
Right? So there's only so much I can do without my assistants, without my team. And as I bring more people in, I'm able to expand, and I'm able to honor the roles that I have in other places. Because before I had a team, I was not as good of a mom, and I was not as good of a wife, because I was so busy and so stressed doing all the things all the time. So, I mean, before we close, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but is there anything else that you'd love to share with this audience that you feel like they would need to know to grow and expand in this day and age with lead generation?
Plan 12 months in advance so that you know what's coming down the pipeline. If you have a gap in marketing today, you have a gap in sales in 3 months. It's just how it works. And it takes, 4 to 6 weeks to be able to start something and get something out. So if you look at your calendar at the first of the month and you're like, I don't have anything going on for lead gen, it's not going to be fixed until the next month. So you need to plan a year in advance. I also recommend that you pick 5 to 7 different ways that you're going to try to generate leads, and no more. Right now, it used to be that I would tell people 5 to 7. They're like, what? I can't do 2? And now they're like, what? I can't do 20? You need to focus. 5 to 7 is a pretty magical number. And then the other thing that I would say is if you'll be more thorough in your sales process, you don't actually need as many leads. So a lot of people feel like they need so many leads because they're terrible in the follow-up. If you can get good at both, it's just going to be a lot simpler and make your life easier.
I love
more
it.
Fun.
Yeah, simple is the best choice.
Simple is the best answer.
I love it. Okay, now before we go, what are you working on and what do you want to share with our audience?
I would actually really love to chat with you about your sales process. It's kind of my space where I geek out. I love looking at sales numbers and scripts. So I have a process called your Sales and Marketing GPS. And if you want, you can answer these questions and then I'll jump on with you and I'll send you like an 8-page report that's customized of like where are you missing the mark with your marketing and where are you missing the mark with your sales, so that you have that roadmap and it can tell you how to get where you want to go.
Awesome. Tell us where to find that.
amywalkerconsulting.com/GPS.
And we will also link that in the show notes below so that there's no question. You can go and find it. Amy's genius is brilliant and continues to amaze me. So also make sure that you find her on YouTube so that you can see the tips, advice, and information that she is putting out there. And we'd love for you to subscribe to both. Subscribe to this channel and to hers for additional details as well. Amy, thank you so much for being on Make It Happen.
Thanks for having me.
Now, one of my favorite segments of the show, a few of my favorite things. You can see additional favorite things of mine through my Instagram channel at Mom's Opinions Matter. But for today, let me tell you 3 of my current favorite things. Number 1, the Clever Cutter. I should have brought one to show you, but for those of you who are listening, it wouldn't have helped you anyway. But just do a little search. We actually linked it for you below so that you can go and find it. It's one of my favorite kitchen tools. It's how I chop all of my vegetables, put them straight in. It's like scissors and a cutting board in one. And it's kind of hard to imagine, but as soon as you watch their 15-second infomercial, you will be hooked for life. I've probably bought 25 of them and give them away as gifts, and have also rebought a few for myself and keep them in lots of different places. So you will not go wrong with a Clever Cutter. They did not pay me to be this excited about the Clever Cutter, okay? But I love it. Number 2, Zenni.com, Zenni.com is a great place to get glasses, sunglasses. I get stopped and asked all the time, where did you get these? These are actually prescription sunglasses that I paid, I think, $35 for. Zenni is a great resource. Get your prescription. You can plug in all the details and then they send them straight to your home. Very affordable. I've done them for my kids. I've done them for me. And I just love Zenni.com. Okay, my third is a little business tip. If you do not already invest in Post-it notes that are poster sized, now is the time. Even at home, this will work for you. I use them for my kids favorite things at the end of the night. They just write them up on markers. They feel like they get cool stuff. We do VIP days with them for clients. We strategize all of our goals on giant sticky notes. We will also put a link in the show notes for you for those. But if you're ready to start a new business idea, just a goal, or if you want to get your kids excited about some sort of success principle, giant sticky Post-it notes are the way. And those are just a few of my favorite things. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening, watching, being part of our amazing audience. We hope that you will subscribe so that you will find our next episodes, and we also would love it and be super honored if you would leave us a review. We want to know what's working for you, what your favorite takeaways are, and share all that thoughts and feedback there. You can also email me at any time at michelle@speakmichelle.com. We honor you for giving us 30 minutes of your day, and we're cheering you on as you make it happen.